This conference will now be recorded.
There it is.
Okay.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding. Well, it's so good to see you all. And why don't we start with just a quick going around the screen and see how everybody's doing, and just, if you don't mind, introducing yourself like usual. So why don't we start with you, Tree? You're right in the middle. So
I'm Tree. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. I was diagnosed last October, and I'm on Aubagio, and I have something to ask later.
All right. Put a pin on it. We're thinking. Go.
Yeah. And then to Christy. Okay.
We can't hear you, Christy.
We can't hear. Okay.
Oh, she's gonna call in. Okay, yeah.
Kind of like we did last time.
Yeah, we'll skip to someone else and come back to you when we got
you. Tim, we don't see you, but I'm wondering, do you hear us?
Oh yeah, I can hear you guys. I'm outside my back porch right now.
Very nice.
Yeah, it decided to stop raining here, and it's now only down to about 70 degrees. So beautiful day out here in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Nice. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm just waiting to hear back from some labs, and then hopefully get started on some Tecfidera in the near future.
Wow.
Okay. Well, Michelle, do you want to say hi to everyone, and just hopefully the weather's not being bad to you?
No, it's just crazy thunderstorms rolling through. It's normal for summer. My name's Michelle. I have had MS for well over 30 years, been diagnosed for about 6.5, 7. It was like October, November of 2015. I am currently in between meds, as I was exposed to the John Charles virus, and now I have been taken off of Tysabri. And so that's my point of conversation this evening. So we can get into that after everybody is introduced, if that's all right.
That sounds good, Michelle. And now, Christy, I see there's a caller on the phone, and I assume that's you.
It is me.
Yay!
I don't know what's going on with my mic on the webcam, but whatever. So my name is Christy. I am from Colorado. I was diagnosed 18 years ago, and I am on Ocrevus. Just had my first half of my first dose. So we can talk more later.
Yay.
Yay. Okay. Kim, do you want to go ahead and tell everyone your story?
Oh, Kim, Des Moines, Ocrevus, diagnosed 2012. I'm just tired because I had my family here for 2 weeks, and then I got really bad case of chiggers on that. I've been not sleeping well since Saturday between the intense itch and the oral steroids. So having a good time over here, guys. Just hanging out.
How are the munchies?
Sorry.
Oh,
Triggers
I had the munchies bad yesterday. And I'm averaging about 3 hours of sleep. So that's where we're at right now. So I'm not making all the sense, a little out there. Just bear with me, guys.
And we will. And shooting over to Frank, do you want to fill us all in on how you're doing?
My name's Frank Austin. I was designated. Yeah, right. I was diagnosed in May 1997. I have secondary progressive MS, and I'm not on anything. Just dealing with the symptoms when I have symptoms. Just I have a happy camper. What can I say?
You are amazing, your positivity.
You got to be.
Yeah. Mhm. And now I will shoot over next to me to my Dan, my husband.
And I'm Herdan, and I was diagnosed in 2000, and I have relapsing remitting MS, and I've been on Ocrevus I had my first infusions like about a month ago. So I'm right there with you, Christy. So yeah, we'll understand. So I will shoot it over to my Jennifer.
And hi again, this is me, Jennifer. I was diagnosed way back before, gosh, it feels like some of you were born, Tree. I was diagnosed in 97. I'm living with secondary progressive MS, and I currently am taking Rituxan infusions. So, and Michelle, Tree, you both had things you wanted to talk about. Do you, Tree, do you want to get the party started?
Okay. Just for the record, I was born before you were diagnosed.
You're just very youthful, and yes, and that's, yeah. Well,
I was only 5 when you were diagnosed, so.
Okay. Well,
Just under the wire.
I believe you were diagnosed the same year as my grandfather.
Really? Your grandfather has MS?
Yep, and my mom.
Holy, you're kidding.
So I'm 3rd generation.
Wow. Are they going to, Christy, if I remember correctly, you have a grandfather with MS, right?
That is correct.
Wow. That is so fascinating. Sorry. Wow. Okay, I'm sorry. So you were, yeah.
So I was, I think I had my first MS hug today, and it felt like there was a rubber band around my ribs, but it was only like 30, 40 seconds, but it hurt really bad. I wanted to ask y'all if that's what an MS hug feels like.
Yep. Pretty much. I get them around my lower abdomen, and for me, they started while I was sleeping, and I think I mentioned it in the forum before. They would wake me up, and it was just like blood curdling scream from my sleep, waking me up, and yeah, it was not at all fun, and I'd have to sit there and try and stretch that muscle out, and so it's progressed from like the lower abdomen just making me, queasy and ill, to all the way up to just between two rib cages, two ribs, two rib cages, two ribs, um, and I just sit there and just stretch and pull and work them out. So that's the best you can do when you get one, is to just stretch. That's your option.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, is it like that for you, Frank?
Well, mine was more across the chest, and I actually went to the emergency room because I thought I was having a heart attack. I mean, they checked it out and everything was fine, but it got my attention, major league. And this was years ago.
Yeah, what about you, Tim, Christy? Do you experience that, Kim?
Yeah, I get mine, and it's like literally like all throughout here. And then
that's exactly where I had it.
And it's difficult to breathe. And I feel like this is the best way I can describe it. Like I have a toddler sitting on my chest, and it won't. It like hurt, but it's very comfortable.
Yeah, we were at a restaurant, me and my wife, and I had just taken a bite, so like I had something in my mouth when it happened, and I was just like lightly banging on the table, trying not to cry, and my wife's like, "Are you okay?" Wow. Yeah, and like after I swallowed the food, I was like, "I think I just had an MS hug. This is the one symptom I really didn't want."
Yeah, it's just uncomfortable for me.
Tim, has it been like that for you?
Well, I'm not sure because I've had two hernias in the past. Gosh, I had the first one in 2014, the second one in 2017, and I've got kidney stones in both kidneys. Um, so I may have had one. I had it. What was last year? The year before last. It's in my doctor's office, and I had a lot of chest pain and pressure, and they found it was nothing. So that might have been it. My symptoms have been, kind of weird like that over the number of years. They don't have a reason for it, and so now we're just kind of going, could be the MS. So I can't officially say that I've had an MS hug, and from what I'm hearing, I really don't want one. So yeah.
Wow. So I'll count my blessings then.
Yeah, I don't believe I've ever had an MS hug, so.
Mine has gone away. I haven't had one in a very, very, very long time. So if that helps you at all, then
Mine just started, to be honest. I would think, I want to say the last couple of months, I think I've probably experienced 2 or 3 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think it has partly to do because I'm in that flare up. So, but normally I've never experienced, well, I shouldn't say never, I just didn't know what they were. And then, last meeting, the MS hug was talked about. And I was like, oh, that's what that was. But I would say since my flare up, I've had like 2 or 3.
Wow.
Do you think it would be worth calling my doctor?
I mean, me personally, I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm just giving you advice as a person who's lived with MS for over 2 decades, kind of thing. But I mean, honestly, even if I don't know as though there's anything your doctor could do for you per se, however, just to get it documented in your records to show that you've had something like that. And I think that's really, I always felt that's what led to my quick diagnosis was I had complained to my doctor at a physical once about a shocking sensation going down my neck or down my spine. And then like a year later, I was having the numbness in my chest, and they were looked back at that year before to say he complained about this, and thereby then learning that it was like Lermite's, and so they could do that. So I mean, not that you're going to get worse, Tree. That's not what I'm trying to say. However, at least it's there in your records to, and maybe there is something they can do to help with it. But yeah, I would at least call to have them make note. I don't know if I'd make a special trip unless you really like your doctor or something. So
I already see her often enough. I have to see her every 3 months for the clinical trial.
that's right. I mean, maybe even something, when are you going for your next trial visit?
I just had it last week, so in 3 months.
Okay, well, yeah, I'd do it sooner than that. It's not like you're going in like next week for a trial, so no. Yeah, I'd just call to make note.
Okay.
That's my
I would do
opinion.
it, especially since you're in a clinical trial and they want to know any changes. So
Oh.
just throwing it out there because they want to monitor you more carefully than a normal neurologist is because you are in the clinical trial. So yes, I would.
I would too.
That's smart.
it shows a progression of symptoms, and it's a real common symptom. It's not like a big deal. Everybody gets some kind of a progression of symptoms, but just to use those terms, that's what it is. And since it's a new symptom you've never had before, and if it lasts, more than 2 days, and if you keep getting them for the next 24 to 48 hours, then yeah, it'll be more like a permanent deal. But you know, it's just a muscular spasm. So, you know, but
Oh,
yeah, like they said, I didn't know, I haven't been here in a while, so I didn't know you were in a trial. But yeah, like Kim said, you know, definitely let them know. Just send them an email or, you know, something.
Or you can do like I did and become really good friends with his or her medical assistant and filter everything through his medical assistant,
Yeah.
because that's what I do. Anytime I have an issue, I just email his medical assistant and she gets back to me. So
Nice.
Yeah. Wow. Well, keep us posted how that, you know, if it anything for the, you know, just any progression. And Michelle, you said you had something you wanted to talk about.
Well, before we get into me, I wanted to ask Tree what clinical trials she's in.
oh, I'm in clinical trial comparing Aubagio to the new improved Aubagio, which doesn't have a name yet.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I'm on one
It's
of the two.
supposed to be less gastro irritation or something.
I have no idea. It just covered the cost of my medications and MRIs and doctor's visits for 3 years, so I was cool with this.
Sign me up, says Petrie.
I know, right?
in
Exactly.
that one too.
Okay.
And it was
Yeah.
Aubagio, which is what I wanted to be on, so.
Oh, well, that's good. That's awesome. That worked out great then.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, for me, I haven't been here in a while, so I'll kind of catch y'all up real quickly on what all's been going on. I had, I'm sorry, my brain is like, I feel like my cognitive issues are just declining, so bear with me. What was I saying? I don't know. Let me start over. So I had a family reunion to go to. Okay, and that was in Missouri, Southeast Missouri. And I took the opportunity because I finally decided who was going to do all my medical and financial stuff for the remainder of my life, because I did not want my family to be involved. So he lives in Kansas City. So my family stretches all the way up into St. Louis. And so I took the opportunity to drive all the way to Kansas City and hang out there for a little while and then come back. And I've been doing my family genealogy and all that kind of good stuff, and just kind of, you know, just doing other things. And like I said before, the doctor called like right before I left for the trip. You know, I was getting ready to start packing, and he says, yeah, I get a phone call. And they're like, yeah, you know, you gotta stop Tysabri because my infusion was gonna be in 4 days. So they called me 4 days before my infusion to tell me. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's nice. Now what? And it turns out that they have definitely decided that I am secondary progressive. So I don't know if they're going to write it in the books, probably not. But they've decided I'm non-active progressive, and they haven't just told me whether or not they think that I have I'm on the progressive side, because you know now they just say progressive MS, whether it's secondary or primary, they don't care anymore. And then they say active or not active, and then with or without progression. So my doctor is in that group that, you know, likes to be on top of how they do things, I guess. And so now that's what I'm dealing with, is what is his thought process. And I see him Friday. So I have been doing this. I was offered first Ocrevus, and upon doing some research on it, since I'm a non-active secondary progressive, I don't think there's any, I don't have relapses. So I just don't think there's any reason for me to be on an aggressive medication like Ocrevus. And so I was looking at the others that are available, Mayzent, Zeposia, and they also offered a new clinical trial to me as well called, it's ATA 188. And I think I'm going to go with that one. It's a clinical trial that is really interesting. It's a medication that's going to be designed to destroy the remnants of the Epstein-Barr virus. So you have to have had Epstein-Barr. You have to have had certain, I have to go to a study first. So I had to have a washout of Tysabri of 66 days, which I'll meet at the beginning, like around the 5th, 6th of July. And then there's 2 cellular issues that they look for in this pre-study, and I have to qualify for that. Once I've qualified for that, I go into the study medication part of it, and they've already done phase 1, so this is like phase 2, and it's a 5-year program, so I'll be one of those people where they're, everybody's like, did Epstein-Barr virus cause it? Well, this is going to be something that works against the Epstein-Barr remnant. So I think it's really cool. Is that making sense?
It is. I mean, Michelle, you're not on camera, but everyone's shaking their head.
not?
No, you're not right now. But we all get you, and I mean, that's interesting and exciting and scary at the same time. But how long had you been taking, you said, Tysabri?
I'm trying to get my camera. I'm trying. I guess I keep clicking the wrong button. Okay. There I
There
am.
you are. Now we can
Sorry.
see you.
I thought I was on camera this whole time. I've been sitting here talking like I was on camera. That's funny. I'm sorry. So what was your question to me?
I was just wondering, how long were you on Tysabri?
Yeah, this November would be the end of my 7th year, I guess.
And you just developed the JC virus, or you just developed, like, I guess I don't understand what happened. Why?
Yeah, I don't get it either. It's really weird. In the middle of a pandemic, when I have been extremely careful to be at home alone. I've been quarantining and isolating and wearing a mask. And in the middle of all that, I get the stupid John Charles virus. How is that even possible? I'm just like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
So for the last 6 years, I walk around willy-nilly without a mask on, talk to people, be up close to people, yada, 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 stuff. People I don't know don't get it. I go into quarantine and I get it. What the heck?
So, but you're going to just move forward.
You might
I mean, I think it's just a little funny kind of thing that's just ridiculous. But what are you gonna do? It's
you might want to talk to the doctor about the possibility that it's a false positive.
Oh, my titer was was 2.35, so they tested it twice to make sure at the lab already because it was so high. And that's the weird part. I mean, my test in December was fine. My test in February shows a titer over 2. I'm like, most people show up with a low titer and it rises, but not me. I'm just gonna top it off. Let's just put a cherry on an empty bowl and call it a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so you'll have to keep us informed.
Well, and the weirdest part of it all is that my body has been feeling the best that it has been, uh, the best ever in the last 6 years over the last 3 months. So I am walking well. I don't have, I've got some pain, but I think it's skeletal. I think I need to see a chiropractor. Um, but I don't have any, I'm not having an MS pain. I don't, I, my endurance is still really low. I haven't been able to improve my endurance, but my legs feel stronger. I mean, I've been trying and working and doing as much as I can. And here I am getting this silly virus and having to change meds. And in the middle of a COVID, and now I'm like, that's another reason why I didn't want to take an aggressive med, because I don't want to go on an immunosuppressant. I don't want to be suppressed. With the COVID, I'm not doing it. I just not taking a chance. I live alone. I can't afford to, that to be, it's just a precaution for me. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally.
You have to do what's best for you, and hopefully, the neurologist will get you involved in a good clinical trial, and you'll have good things to report. You have what you said, like another month to wash out from the Tysabri.
No, it's not actually a whole nother month, because we're coming up close to the 25th. So it's like, what, 10 days from now? So,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so 10 days I can go into the pre-study. And that's just a simple blood test that they're going to do. They're just going to, all I do is go in, they take a blood test, blood from me, and then I wait 3 weeks to find out if I qualify for the real study, for the actual study, not the real study, actual medication portion.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be, I think it's a really cool question mark, trying to look at this med. I think that's cool. Going into genetics to fight the disease.
Yeah.
Or virology or whatever, I mean, we're going into, crossing different lines to treat the med. And I signed up for a different clinical trial that was just random, had nothing to do with MS, through the hospital system here a while back. And it's called the Whole Me Study. And they took a full genetic profile and I haven't looked at my results, but they wanted to, the purpose of the genetic profile was to be able to tailor medication to your DNA. So I was like, sure, why not? Just,
it's so interesting, all of the things. Having been diagnosed, like Frank and I, 23 years ago, or Dan, over 20 years ago, just all the crazy things that they can do now. And, it's unbelievable. So, I mean,
well, even the changes since I got started, I mean, 2015 to now, I mean, that's pretty big changes. I mean, we didn't have any meds for secondary progressive. Now we've got 4. And by the way, there are, I think, 2 medications in the process, in the trial process. I think they're in phase 2, 3, and 4 for not active secondary progressive. So they're making strides in trying to get different drugs available to everybody. But those are being done in France. They're not being done in the USA. So I couldn't get my little hands on one of those not active trials like I wanted.
Wow. Well, thanks for that information.
And so, Tim, what do you get? What did you say you were going to go on? Hopefully, was that Tysabri, or you were?
No, Tech Federa.
I was going to say it was. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those teas.
Yeah. One of those that was, and that is that Is it an infusion or is that oral?
No, that's oral. Yeah, it's 2 pills twice a day.
2 pills twice.
Nice.
Yeah,
And
I think you gotta do a week of building up, and then you're at the full dose after a week. Which I don't have my notebook in front of me, of course. Going to sword practice without a sword. Yeah, I'm waiting to hear on that right now.
wow, that's
Okay.
exciting though.
Yeah, it is.
And Chris, you said you did like your first half dose
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it did well. So when do you go in for a second half?
The first.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's kind of been hit or miss. Like the day after, I felt phenomenal. And I think that may have been due to the steroids they injected me with and, you know, the medication. It's like, whoa, what's going on here? And then like it's gotten, I think my body has responded to the first half dose because I can actually stand up and walk a little bit. I still use the walker, but it's a lot better. I can actually get myself off of a chair or off the bed. So that's gotten better. So I am excited to see what the second dose can bring me, the second half of the first dose,
Yeah.
to see where it will take me. And then I also have an appointment on the 6th with an orthotist for my AFO. So, because I am experiencing, and it was before even my flare up really kicked in, foot drop.
Okay.
So that I'm excited to get an AFO to help with my foot drop, because that really is not fun to walk with foot drop.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping with, you know, the second dose and the orthotist, I can, you know, get to a better state.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I see my virtual, so, you know, I don't have to go to Ann Arbor, but I see my neurologist Monday. And I'm going to ask about, I don't know, I should ask my group. Do any of you have trouble with like not being able to open up your hands? Like I have a hard time, like I can't extend
Exhibit A.
my right hand. And so I'm gonna just ask, and I'm sure that my doctor will say physical therapy, which I've been a little hesitant with the whole COVID thing and the husband. I don't want to get him to, you know, I don't want to pick up something and then God forbid transfer it to my husband. But I just wondered if any of you know anything about like treatment of I assume that's some sort of wicked spasticity, but I don't know.
I don't think there's any medication for the arms and hands. So I think physical therapy is the only option. I mean, I've had tremors and some issues with my hands. My sister noticed me shaking the other day and I didn't even notice it. So I don't know. I need to get information about that before Friday. But like I have done the research and trying to find other things and run across arms and hand stuff, and there's just to my knowledge, there's nothing.
Well, you said that you're seeing your doctor on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Christy, you're having an infusion next week.
Yes.
And then
Thursday.
And then I'm seeing like right now, it's just a heck of a time to be a neurologist or to have multiple sclerosis. We're being like super proactive right now. But what about you, Frank? I mean, have you ever?
I've never had any spasticity issues at all. But I would say in your case, have you done any baclofen at all?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm going to talk to her about because I take quite a bit of it, and I don't know the other medicine. Not that I want to make this meeting about Jennifer time or something, but the other medicine I took made me so weak that Dan I couldn't stand up anymore. So I
Which medicine was that, Jennifer?
started with a T.
Tizanidine?
Yeah.
I didn't like that one. It gave me weird, like psychedelic. I mean, just off of 2-3 pills, I was like in psychedelics. Every time I closed my eyes, I could see.
Oh, I would be
places
all
and
about
colors.
doing that.
Did you try to write some music while that was happening? I bet you'd have a hit, dude.
Absolutely, but
Right.
yeah, but that's that careful line that we have to walk between. Like, you want to have a little bit of spasticity so you can stand up or do things, but not too weak where I can't. So I'm going to talk to my doctor about that. And much like Tim, I'm going to have my little notebook and I'm going to say, okay, I need to ask this. So, okay, I'll let you know because there's just, yeah, probably be going back to physical therapy.
I feel for you, and I'm sorry. I hope that she comes up with a different answer.
Yeah, thank you. So do I. Yeah. Oh, and then I see the urologist on Tuesday. Good Lord. So, yeah, it's just.
Hey,
So I'm sorry. I think I remember hearing something about that, but I don't recall what the problem was.
It's just that checkup. It's again, it's like the popular time for all your doctors to see you. So I'm just going to see her and talk about that. And I'm going to ask about Botox for my bladder.
Do you have overactive or retention?
Yes, ma'am. Overactive. See, we're with our people, so we can be like totally honest. Yes, overactive.
And then you said that in your talk, we're talking psychedelic feelings and writing music, and I'm thinking that would be the best name for an album would be Botox for my bladder.
Oh my God, that's so funny. And you're right.
I like it. Yeah. So
That's going to be the new name for my next podcast.
Yes.
I like it. Yeah.
I did the neurostimulator for bladder retention, and she kind of left me out in the wind. And I did some research and found, because it's not working. I have the thing basically turned off, and so I did some research, and the hospital system that I go through recommends the neurostimulator for bladder retention, for urine retention. But I obviously need to get a new urologist. So that's on my list of things to do, among, finding a dentist and having like 4 fillings replaced that fell out. There's a list. Get a new med, fix your teeth.
Yeah.
The new urologist. I mean, what lists seem endless these days, don't they?
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So thank you. I'll ask all those questions.
Well, if it comes down to nothing, I've done the neurostimulator and it's no big deal. And I'm sure, if you end up having to go that route, the InterStim 2 is made so that people can get MRIs. So
Okay.
it's really simple. I just turn it off and I go in for an MRI.
Okay. Thank you for that information.
Do I need to write that down?
Yes, please. Dan's.
It's Interostim 2. It's made by Medtronics.
Dan,
Medtronics, and it's INTER capital STIM, Roman numeral 2.
Thank you, Michelle.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
That's one thing I
It
noticed.
works for bladder. I'm sorry, one more. It works for bladder and bowel incontinence and retention. So like me, I have bowel incontinence, but bladder retention. So I'm like a weird case on everything. I don't know what's wrong with me.
That I was just gonna say, that's one thing I have noticed is the bladder doesn't want to hold anything. Like I'm very lucky if I can make it to the bathroom. And when you're walking at snail's pace, it's even more fun. But you know, that's it's only been happening since my flare up. So I'm hoping that once I get over this hurdle, that it'll go back to normal, because I literally feel like a 40-year-old toddler.
I know.
Trust me.
Yeah, when my bladder was completely full, I was holding 800 milliliters. And so whenever I would get anything in my bladder, I was trying to run because I was like trying to make it to the bathroom on time. And it turns out my bladder was just always so full it couldn't hold anymore. So that's how my problem panned out. And now I have to catheter. So that's always yay.
Fun.
I've been with everything.
Yeah, go see a urologist, Christy, and then they'll check you. I mean, I'd just recommend it just since you're having the symptoms. And you know, even you, like you said, you're in a flare. I would just recommend going and seeing a urologist now and just letting them know, somebody that's you know, aware of MS, knows how to treat MS symptoms.
Okay, that sounds good. What was that, Frank?
Well, with everything I've had going on for the last several weeks, one of the problems was water retention with some congestive heart failure. And I have been up at least 5 times a night because of the diuretics they are giving me to try to get rid of the fluid. And it is a struggle when you're dealing with a wheelchair and all those problems. It's just a struggle. I mean, what more can you say?
Yeah.
Right. Well, in our bedroom, my side of the bed is closest to the bathroom. So that was something that I was like, yeah, I have to be the closest to the bathroom. He's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when I gotta go, I gotta go. And it doesn't even give me warning. It's just like, okay, go.
Go. And when did you say that this flare up started for you, Christy?
Well, I would say that if I think back, it was probably January. And then I had my annual MRI in March. And that's when he found 2 new lesions, one on my spinal cord and one in my brain. And he's like, well, that's probably the explanation as to why you're going out of control right now. So he then took me off my Gilenya, and we started the process for Ocrevus. Well, I think in the time that he took me off, which was beginning of April, and I just had my first Ocrevus on the 8th, I think. So during that time, I had no meds on board. So I think that's when my body was just like, hey, there's nothing here to block this or help calm us down. So we're just going to throw a party at my expense.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's been a rough 2 months for me, but it got really bad 3 weeks ago, like end of May, and I started experiencing vertigo. I had vertigo for I think 9 or 10 days, and I ended up in the hospital because it just wouldn't stop. And they admitted me, so I was there for 3 days. They put me on another 5 days of steroids. So between April, May, and June, each month I had 1 round of steroids. So it was crazy. It just everything, I've never experienced it before, so everything was new to me. So, and it still is. And I'm not gonna lie, depression and anxiety have set in because I'm like, I get anxious thinking, is this my new normal? And then I get depressed because I can't do stuff for myself. Well, I can do stuff for myself, but not as much as I would like to. So I'm still trying to transition into my new right now, the new right now.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that with the second dose of my first dose, things will start to turn around. And I mean, I'm not expecting to go completely back to the way I was, but somewhat close. I would be satisfied with somewhat close.
Be patient,
I am.
patient.
Yeah.
I'm really trying, Frank.
Be
But
very gentle on yourself. Don't be beating yourself up for what you can and can't do and all the changes, and just have to
right.
go
Well,
with that flow.
Today was my first day back to work after 3 weeks. So before I went back, I did speak with my boss, and I requested to have a printer put on my desk so I didn't have to get up and go to the printer for everything. And everybody's been super great. My boss keeps coming out asking me how I'm doing. And I'm like, I'm doing fine. I'm just tired. And, you know, with the flare up and the vertigo and everything, it really drained me. And so it's taken me a little bit longer to bounce back. But I'm getting there. I actually made it into work and made it the whole day, which I was proud about.
I was going to say, congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Accomplishments, you know?
Yeah, it was a big,
That's a victory.
yeah, a big victory for me today to actually get up, get ready, make it to work early because now I have the walker, get myself in the building, get to my desk, and work a complete 8 hours. That was a big victory for me, you know?
I'm impressed. That's awesome.
Right. So I'm impressed too. I thought, oh, and I even told my boss, I was like, if I can't make it through the whole day, can I go? He's like, yeah, that's fine. He's like, I know you've been through a lot. I was like, oh, well, thank you. But I did make it through the entire day. And I will say, because my foot drop is on my right foot, you drive with your right foot, I have now mastered left foot driving.
Wow.
And, you know, my husband's like, oh, I'm so scared for you out driving. I was like, I drive better with my left foot than I do my right.
So you're using your left foot for both the brake and the accelerator. So you just totally switched to a whole 180. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
fine. I think that's totally fine.
Yeah, well, he can't fathom using his left foot. I'm like, you get used to it when you're forced to.
I still drive with a manual car, so I'm used to using both feet all the time. So
Oh,
yeah.
bless your heart. I learned on a manual. I wish I could drive a manual, but there's absolutely no way with my right foot issues.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I had a good victory today doing
Yeah.
an entire day.
Dude, you're like talking like this, and everything that you're saying you're doing, I'd be like throwing things on the floor and just like smacking my chest saying, yeah, look at me, look at me. And you're just like, oh, and I made it through a day of work. It's like, no, dude, you made it through a day of work.
Yeah,
It's like,
good
dang.
job.
Yeah, I'm over here tossing confetti at you.
Yeah.
Well, if I had the energy to, because like I said last week, driving drains me. So
Yeah.
I just got home from work about 15 or 20 minutes before the meeting. So if I had a little bit more energy, I'd be happy. So I'd probably be up dancing around or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Christy,
You better this week than you were 2 weeks ago. I feel like I see a huge improvement in you. Like you're on the upswing. It feels like, or at least this moment,
Yeah,
it's exciting to see.
I
A
feel
little more confident.
What's that, Frank?
A little more confident.
Yeah, and I feel like I am on an upswing. I just don't know how far that upswing is gonna go.
We never do. We never do.
Right. So I'm just trying to be optimistic and hope and pray for the best.
I was gonna say, don't be concerned how far it's gonna go. Just enjoy the ride. Just
enjoy that ride while it lasts. Enjoy it. Yes, 100% there.
There are going to be bumps in the road with this disease, and just make the best of the good times.
Exactly. And that's kind of my mantra, that I kind of live by, is just to be positive at every turn and obstacle that I face. And that's the best I can do. Yeah, I get sad over stuff, but it's stuff that I can't control. So
But you can control your reaction to the sad stuff.
yeah, usually ends in crying. But
Yeah, with all the steroids, have your moods leveled out a little bit, or are you more, and I don't want to say this and make you sound irrational, but I can relate because I have multiple sclerosis, but do you feel like you're more in control of your emotions right now?
Yeah, not 100%, but yeah, definitely 2 weeks ago I was taking the steroids, so I was getting emotional at stuff that really, looking back, it's like, really? But now, I still have my like choke up moments or emotional moments, and but they're not as frequent. I've done the taper down, I've done the first dose. I still get emotional, but that's just part of my life.
Yeah.
Because you're human.
Yeah.
If you didn't have emotions, Christy, and you were a robot, like I remember, and you weren't here, so I can tell this story again. So when I had MS, I realized when my emotions get really strong, I can't stop from going off the deep end. So I'll be suddenly, I'm like, "Blah!" And I'll be doing this in front of like people I don't know or don't know really well. I'm like, it's okay, I have MS, just give me 5 minutes. And it was really embarrassing. And then one day I came to the conclusion, like, okay, you have two choices. No emotions, a robot where I can't feel anything, or I'm over emotional and then people like I can really be vulnerable and people connect with me. I'm like, I will take the latter with the embarrassment any day versus having this like you're having this emotion and I can't understand you. I have no empathy. I have no compassion. I'm a robot. And I'm like, okay, yes, I will take that road. And that helped me cope with my extreme emotions. So now I'm like, yeah, that's going to be hard. Am I getting a little teary? Yeah, but I'll do it anyway because it's an opportunity for people, for me to connect with people. Because I found myself when I show my vulnerability, people then go, oh, okay, this is a safe place. I can let down my guard. I can and then connect with people. Because for me, MS can be incredibly isolating. So it's really helps me connect. So that was one way that I coped with, wow, I'm really emotional and I don't know how I like this. And it's just like, it's better than being a robot. I don't want to be a robot.
I kind of fluctuate between over emotion and robot. It's like it's one or the other. And you know, I'm usually surrounded by people that are known. It's very rare that I'm around people that I don't know. So I'm typically overly emotional. But you know, that's a lot of my friends that are like, we love that about you. Like you get mad when people are supposed to get mad, you laugh, you know, you do the emotions, you go through the emotions when people don't.
Yeah,
So I guess it can be endearing.
absolutely. Yeah. So Tim, are your girls, are they old enough to go to school?
Oh yeah, they as a matter of fact, they just turned 7 on the 10th.
So that's what I was wondering. Are they home on summer break now?
Yeah, they're actually going back to school, like in-person school, August the 9th. We start a little bit early than everybody else.
Okay.
And they get their 3,000-mile oil change and checkup tomorrow afternoon. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to be talking with my docs on, well, I'm going to be talking with their doc on the whole Tecfidera thing. And like, you know, flu vaccines, and they're too young to get the COVID vaccine. But I do know that one thing with Tecfidera is they had a special warning on there that don't be around people that take the nasal flu vaccine because it does Tecfidera does lower your immunity. So I'm going to talk to their doc about that and see, you know, if they're going to be recommending flu shots for the fall, and if so, I'll have to, you know, probably quarantine myself from them if they get the nasal flu shot stuff.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a nasal.
It's
I knew.
directed more towards kiddos.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
Yeah,
the kiddos
that's
can
the
get
live
injections
vaccine.
for the flu shot. Yeah.
Yeah. The nasal one is the live one.
Yep. And with Tecfidera, they're like, you know, stay away from folks that have the nasal stuff. So, and because of where I work, I luckily, you know, I told my boss I'm not coming back to the office. It's just not going to happen, you know. Where I work is at, you know, cubicle land, and you know, they really push the, you know, everyone get your flu shots every year and all that kind of jazz. And I'm like, yeah, here's my thing with Tecfidera, folks. Not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna be around you guys when you were pushing flu shots. Unfortunately, my division, I work in HR, and we push, you know, flu shots, food drives, blood drives, you know, COVID vaccinations, the whole 10 yards. And I'm like, okay, cool. But, you know, think about people that are in my situation here. You know, some of us are like this. So, but yeah, we'll be doing that tomorrow.
Are you never going back to the office, or?
As much as I can never go back to an office, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I made my my stand pretty clear with my office. I mean, I can do everything. Literally, you're looking at my office right now. This is my office. This is my podcast office. This is my work office. Literally right here. But yeah, I don't ever plan on going back in the office. I no desire to. It's an hour and a half commute on the train each
Yeah.
way every day, and I'm like, yeah, no, no. I did that for 7 years. I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah.
Where do you
Well,
live again, Tim?
Well, I live down in Fredericksburg, Virginia, but I commute up to DC. And um, I'm originally from Chicago, and when I think, 40 miles, for me, that's, 45 minutes. But in DC traffic and Northern Virginia traffic, that can range from anywhere from 2 hours to 12 hours, depending on the great drivers in Virginia. They're fantastic.
I have a cousin who's a lawyer in Fredericksburg, or she lives in Fredericksburg, and she has to commute to DC off, like not every day, but often. She's like, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I'm like, well, you chose to work for a law firm that has business up in DC. She's like, either way, I hate it. So I've heard the stories. Birds to DC.
Yeah, yeah. If I never see DC again, I'll be a happy person. So
30 years, 30 years of commuting in LA. Excuse me, I can handle it.
yeah. What about you, Tree? Do you have a lot of traffic in Texas?
So I'm originally from New England, specifically New Hampshire, which has no traffic whatsoever, anywhere, ever. The closest you get to traffic is trying to get into the beach areas, but I wasn't in that area, so I'd never dealt with traffic before I moved here, and I think the traffic here is terrible, but it's even worse in Austin and Houston, and I'm sure it's worse like in LA and DC, but it's really bad to me.
Yeah. Well,
It's not bumper to bumper, but
Are you in Dallas?
no, I'm in San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
Well, Dan and I are driving to Iowa for the 4th of July. So, Tim, we're going to drive through your old stomping grounds of Chicago. And I'm a nervous wreck. You all talked about anxiety, and I'm just like I make fists just thinking about riding in the car, and I'm like hitting that I can't move my feet very much. But I'm trying to hit the imaginary brake, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it in bigger cities or drive yourselves. It's just
Like 5 minutes into the trip, I was like, why didn't we give you Sudafed? You just need to shh.
just like not it out.
Where in Iowa are you going to be, since you're going to be in my home state turf here? I might have to go out and like harass you
Oh,
or
good
meet you
heavens, Tim,
somewhere.
that would be amazing.
I mean, Mom and Dad live in. I'm from Monticello, so we're going to be at Anamosa, close to Cedar Rapids. So I don't know because that's quite a commute then.
That's doable. If I can see you, so the 4th of July is like on the weekend, like a Monday or something.
Yeah,
Maybe
we're
my
driving.
husband to road trip out there, or I can find someone to spend the night in Cedar Rapids. I'm like seriously, like I'm like, if you guys are cool seeing me, I will figure it out.
My
Oh, that
gosh.
would be epic. Yeah, because
And they're like, oh my god, see, I'm probably vaccinated now, guys. So
Yeah.
Well, itinerary. We're
if you have
driving.
the time and we can match, I would love to, not to hijack this call, I would love to figure it out so I can actually meet you guys in person. Go, finally, after over a year and a half, I finally meet someone in person in this group.
Yeah.
I mean, because we'll get like if we have your phone number or something, because it's like
Yeah, you got me on Messenger and stuff. You got my email.
Yeah.
We'll get the hookup because that's happening like in a week and a half, like under 2 weeks. We'll figure it out. We're gonna get it figured out.
Absolutely, yeah. So no, that would be epic. And a lot. I mean, because truly we haven't. That's what I keep trying to. I tried to explain that to my dad on Sunday because he's like, "Are we doing this? We're doing this." Dad, I don't know. I said, I'm just like, it was enough to even decide that we're going to make this trip because I mean we haven't traveled since March of last year, and even that, and I had to explain. We had gone to DC which is, which is decent. But at the same time, I said, Dad, the extent of what we had to drive was 2.5 hours down to the airport. And then once you're there, you're on autopilot. Somebody else is handling the traveling and stuff. We haven't had to drive for 10 hours and make that trip. And so, it's like, we'll just like settle down, Dad. We'll make plans when we get there. But Kim, let's plan on it.
Let's do
Think
it.
Friday, Saturday.
I will
Anybody
totally
else?
drive and have the after effects of being tired. I don't care. I will find someone to drive me or do part way or find a place to stay. I will figure it out.
Excellent.
Because you guys have to travel a lot further to see me out of your way. It's easier for me to come.
Well, we could kind of meet halfway because my sister lives in Van Horn. So if we go down to Dawn's, and it's even closer to you, it's down by like the other side of Cedar Rapids. So anyway, Frank, we're closer to you, so you can come over from Kansas. We're kind of close, and Chrissy, I mean, Colorado's not that far out of the way. So
I think everyone should make the effort to come to Iowa for 4th of July, because of all the places you want to go for 4th of July, everyone's like, Iowa.
It's very Americana. It's so fun.
Well, because there was one time a couple years ago when we were there, they had like I'll next invite, we'll post, I'll send the photo of us when they had the traveling Grant Wood exhibit. And honest to God, it was like a 10-foot tall Grant Wood American Gothic thing. And so anyway, enough. I'm not hijacking the conversation, but we are traveling, and it is. I mean, and that's anxiety stuff. I mean, because then we get into the issues with accessible bathrooms. That we have to stop and you time the trip so which rest areas along the way have family restrooms. Which one you just got to hope and pray to God that the women that are there will let a man into the bathroom so I can help Jennifer. And and it's just. And let me say this, and this is Dan Digman's public service announcement for everyone, and I mean especially for the men. I don't want to exclude women. However, yes, there, and Dave Bexfield, if y'all know Dave Bexfield, like legendary blogger and stuff, active MSer, but he had talked about the importance of, the handheld urinals for traveling and stuff. Great idea. Had them in the trunk, in the back of the van. But if you're traveling, put it up between the two of you in the front, because if you got to go to the bathroom, it doesn't do a hell of a lot of good if it's in the back. So that's my lesson learned. So anyway, back to better things.
But we were just talking about, like, I don't know if it's like this for any of you all, but when you make plans to see your family, for example, and then everyone wants to do stuff with you, and it's like, okay, we're making a trip, and I love my friends and family, but it's like you can't overwhelm, like, I don't have enough gas in my tank to do all of this.
So that's why we don't ever say anything until we're in town, and then you surprise the guests, because you don't want to have those things that, or all these commitments, because then it's like, yeah, we got to turn around and come back, and then I got to go to work the next day, and you're just thinking, wow. However,
like, what kind of strategies do you all? I mean, how do you not get overwhelmed?
Yeah, Michelle Toddy, you just went to Missouri. I mean, you didn't just go to St. Louis. You went all the flip way to the other side of the state to Kansas City. So
yeah, driving from Florida all the way up to Kansas City.
Yeah.
And back. Yeah. But you know me, I'm a road tripper. I love doing those things. So I hear some gasps in the in the room. I enjoy it. The bad thing about this trip was that I was staying in a hotel with my sister, and she and I didn't get along after my mom passed away. There were some really major things that came out, and I wasn't apprehensive about staying there with her. I had on my mind, my whole reason for going on that trip was to gather genealogical evidence from both sides of the family. because I'm trying to create, a dynamic history. I want to know the family stories. Tell them to me. And yeah, I got home, and it took me until yesterday. So I've been home
It's been a few days.
almost 3 weeks, and it took me until yesterday to process that I had gotten really overwhelmed. There was one night after, it was like my 6th night there, and it was a 2-week trip, by the way. And it was my 6th night there. My sister and I just left Sykeston Hotel, Hampton Inn, I guess, whatever she likes. So we just left that one, and then we went to the Cape Girardeau one, and we had dinner with my aunt and her husband, and I just had a bad experience that night. And I got up from the table quickly, just no notice. I just quickly got up from the table, walked to the bathroom, and just sat there by myself. And when I came out, everybody was kind of standing in the lobby waiting on me. And I was like, good. So we went back to the hotel. My sister had an accident in the bathroom. She had bowel issues. So we had to, go back, and she had to clean up. And, it was just like doing laundry, and I was there by myself, and I just unloaded and just started crying. And I didn't have Monkey with me. He's my emotional support animal, and I couldn't bring him because my sister's allergic to cats. So it was just, yeah. And I didn't know where I'd be staying, and if, it would be okay to bring him, and, just didn't have the opportunity to get all that cleared in advance. So just opted not to bring him this time, which was a mistake. But my neighbor upstairs was taking care of him. And as soon as I called and said, I need Monkey time, she immediately, it was like 11:30 at night here. And she came right down and, Zoomed with me when, and I got to see Monkey, and it helped calm me down. So that was good.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, it's hard. My situation is a little different from yours. But
Extreme close up.
yeah, I think doing like you said, Dan, and not making a whole lot of plans, just picking out the people that you definitely want to see and calling them and saying, look, I'm going to be there, but I can't plan anything yet. And I just wanted you to know, so maybe you can, edge out some time while I'm there, and here's our block. That's what I did in Texas. When I go to Texas and see, because that's where I grew up, I just call people and I say, I'm blocking out time for you. So
Yeah.
figure out during this block of time when we can see each other.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is my husband, he's from California, and that's where all of his family is. And every time we go out there, his mom arranges with all of the family one big get together. So it's like one thing, you see everybody, so you don't have to go all over California where all of his family is. And they're in northern, so it's usually not that congested, but that's one good thing that I appreciate, and my mother-in-law knows that. So she tell them when we're coming out, and typically she'll arrange something with all of the family and friends and all that stuff in one spot, one time, one spot. So a lot of times when we go out, it's just we're hanging out at her house, and they live in the mountains. So it's very relaxing out there. And then we do the one get together, maybe two, but usually just one. But we're usually out there for like a week. So
Yeah.
That's why my family does it, and that's what overwhelmed me. And I didn't pick it out. It didn't process with me until I got home that I can't do those events where there's going to be everybody all together, maybe even on multiple days. But I've, and it was only between 5 and 10 people, fluctuating back and forth for that whole week. And it was the same people over and over again. Sometimes there'd be a few, sometimes there'd be a lot. But I just can't do the whole group of them anymore. And it's a small group, I mean, relatively speaking, but just not those people, I guess.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's what's so interesting about MS is how we all handle it a little different, that having the big group works for some people, and some people it's like sensory overload. And
Yeah.
as I'm saying about being scared about making this trip or being a little anxious or being uncomfortable, Dan and I have made this trip like 15 times. I don't know why it's right now. I'm just like, we have to drive through Chicago. No, there's going to be traffic. And I'm anxious, and so it's good. Deep breathing, maybe a little NyQuil. It'll all help.
Get some White Castle or some Portillo's, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a gas station there, because going down like 94, a gas station like by the exit for Valparaiso, they're coming down in just north of Gary. There's a White Castle, so that's like a guaranteed stop. See, yeah.
Get a little comfort.
Seeing that as we talk in the MS world where we're trying to eat healthy, and it's like, dude, I'm talking White Castles and beer when we get to Iowa. So
yeah.
Get a
If my
case,
husband needs to travel
get a case
for
of
work,
White Castle that'll last you all the way to Iowa.
somewhere that he traveled for work and they had White Castle, all of our friends were like, you better come back with 2 suitcases of White Castle.
right?
Because you can buy the suitcase and I think it's like 24 burgers, like they're little mini burgers.
Yeah.
And they're like, before you get on that plane, you better stop at a White Castle and bring back 2 suitcases of White Castle. It's like suitcases, they're like, just order 2 suitcases. They'll know what you want. Because we don't have White Castle here in Colorado.
We just got
I've never
one.
had a White Castle. I've never eaten White Castle.
So
Kim, you're lucky you haven't, because if you're high on steroids and you get the munchies, that would do wonders.
I had fun
I
at
don't have it either. But
I had fun at a drive-through yesterday. Ice cream. There's a new ice cream place, and they kind of do fun little spins on things. And no one was in front of me, so I'm like, "Can I just pull up to the window?" And like, "Yeah, go ahead." And so I'm talking like, "Yeah, I'm on steroids with my chiggers and stuff, and I'm a munchies bad. So what do you hook me up with?" It was good, but it was just like I get really bad munchies when I'm on steroids, guys. So when I get my Ocrevus infusions, I'm just like, I got the munchies ready to go. And I try to be, I have some things that are nice, but I try to not just do all junk. Yeah. Today has been the fruit binge. I bought the fruit looked good at the store, so I just bought a bunch of fruit so I could binge on that tonight.
That's what I was wondering about with you, Tree. Have you had infusions of steroids? I mean, we're all talking about munchies and crazy, with the infusion medicines.
Nacho cheese Doritos. But anyway.
I have not had steroids. When I had my optic neuritis, they didn't catch it, so it just ran its course. And I've never had another like big thing happen for steroids to happen. But I am starting to test testosterone soon, so I don't know if that's like similar.
Okay.
I don't think testosterone gives you the munchies. Just gives you good
I don't
muscle.
know, Dan. Frank?
I wouldn't know.
And we all have everyone has testosterone. It's just not a men thing. And men have estrogen too. They just don't have. So just a little. The more you know.
Well, Tree, if and when you ever get like a high dose of steroids, we're all talking about munchies. Just know that steroids can be wicked awful, but you get munchies, and that's a fun thing.
Two things. You get
If
munchies,
you're sure that.
you get munchies, and at night you can't sleep. Those are the two things.
Yeah, the whole sleep thing. I think I've gotten maybe 10 or 11 hours of sleep total since Saturday. You
Yeah.
know, I'm averaging about 3 hours a night. And the fact that I can talk right now and you guys actually understand what I'm saying and I'm sitting upright is a miracle.
That is one thing about steroids. My first 5-day infusion, the first night was fine, fell asleep. Second night, third night, fourth night, fifth night, no sleep. I think I got maybe like 3 hours in those 4 days. And
Like,
my
it's
first
5 a.m. already? What? It's already 5 a.m.? I'm not tired yet. Forget.
right, and you're like, it's scary because you're like, I've been up for this amount of time and I am ready to go. Let's go. And my first night of insomnia, I did shopping on Amazon. Ooh, I got in trouble.
Oh, that could be really dangerous really fast.
Yeah, well, Amazon just started showing up every day for multiple days. He's like, what did you buy? And I was like, everything we need. He's just like, so no more steroids for you. And then I got on my second round and he's like, I'm taking your phone away from you during this time, especially at night. I said, okay. So you do crazy things and you don't sleep and you're completely coherent and aware of everything around you.
But I've noticed once the steroid tapers down and I metabolize it like a week later, it is awful because you're catching up from the sleep and you feel like just everything is. I enjoy the beginning; it's amazing. But then when it's like a week or two later, I'm like, oh, this is the worst. But I'll deal with it,
Yeah.
Yeah, the crash is not fun.
Crash.
I will say that. I will agree with that.
See, I feel bad because, like, with the Ocrevus, it's like the Benadryl knocks me out for like the day, but then it's like you putting a humidifier and dehumidifier in the same room and letting them duke it out, and then ultimately the steroids wins. But come that night, I don't have any trouble sleeping, but maybe it's because I eat so much with the munchies. I'm just like, I'm so tired. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I did leave this out on the first half of my infusion. So I got the steroids and the Benadryl, and then I started having a reaction. Just my luck. So I started like feeling like I couldn't breathe. And then I started getting like because they had to put the IV here because you guys saw that all my veins exploded. She couldn't find one, so she just found it right here. Well, then I started getting like insane pins and needles in in the hand where my IV was. So and you would know this, Dan, when you get your infusion, every 30 minutes it steps up the speed of the infusion. Well, it got to a certain point, and every time I was having a reaction, so she had to come in, stop it, let the reaction subside, push more Benadryl, and then, whatever. So I was so doped up on Benadryl, I wasn't making sense. I was tired. It was like, I was like, I'm just tired. She's like, oh, well, I bet. She's like, I pumped a ton of Benadryl in you.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, yay. So that was fun the night of. Like, I couldn't decide if I wanted to sleep or stay awake. But
Nightmare.
sleep ultimately won with as much Benadryl as on. And Benadryl never affects me, but she was putting the liquid, not the pill form, the liquid Benadryl in.
IV,
so I guess more potent, I guess. I don't know.
Well, she
I
was
found
doing it
that
through
out.
your veins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she
Wow.
was bypassing the bypass. So you're not digesting and not going through your digestion system that breaks it down. You're going straight into the bloodstream. So yeah,
So
no
so
first
that was
pass
a fun
effect.
day for me. Like Steve's like, I don't understand what you're saying right now, but okay. And I'm
Okay.
like, you're not in my brain right now. So that was fun. It's very loopy and tired.
Yeah, I've had to do massive like with my allergies. I've had the allergist say, yeah, just keep loading up on steroid. Like keep loading up on the antihistamine. Like so I was doing way over the amount and psychologically I felt like I was out of my mind. Like it was not a pleasant experience. And it's just like, do I want to deal with the reactions or do I want to deal with like feeling like I am not it was not a good feeling at all.
Right. So Robert, who was here last week, was talking about his first, and he said that, the first, they gave him the 50 milligrams of Benadryl, and he felt like he was going to shoot out of his chair. So his second, they reduced the Benadryl, um, and he said it was a lot better of an experience. And I'm like, and the nurse that was handling my first half of my infusion, she's like, well, when's your next one? She's like, so I can make sure that I'm here with you. And I said, oh, okay, that's great. So we told her, and she's like, well, next time we'll just do it, the Benadryl intravenously instead of giving you the pill form first. See if that makes any difference. And I'm like, okay, load me. And I was already drugged up at that time. I'm like, sure, whatever works. So yeah, I was like, only me would get a reaction to a new medication, and only me would have a ton of Benadryl pumped into me to
Well,
make my.
Robert had a bad reaction to, was it Tecfidera, guys? Was that the medication he started and like we went to the ER for allergic reaction to it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, that we don't usually hear about allergic reactions to actual MS medications, but that's actually kind of been, I don't know. Tim, beware.
Oh, yeah, no, hey, you should see the notes that I have on that one. Let me tell you. Let
You
me
don't
tell
feel
you.
right, just double check it. Just, don't be like, yeah, it's nothing. So
Has
beware.
anybody ever heard of a Bcap machine?
A
Now,
what?
the ACAP is for people with sleep apnea
Oh.
Oh yeah.
and okay. Well, there's another machine called a Bcap machine. And when I was going through all this stuff with the shortness of breath and having to have the stent put in, the medication that they give you for the stent causes shortness of breath. So I had shortness of breath and then the medication that caused additional shortness of breath. And I could not breathe. I couldn't breathe at all. And I had a do not intubate order in my living well.
Mhm.
So they put me on this Bcap machine. And you will breathe on the Bcap machine. And I've never felt so much. It's a mask, and they pump so much air into you. Every time you try to breathe in, it must have put a gallon of air into your throat. I mean, it was like, whoa. It was something to behold.
Was that really uncomfortable to have that strong pressure and the amount of volume they were trying to?
At that point, if I hadn't had it, I think I would have died. I think it was that serious. And
So you
it
lost your that to me, one of the freakiest things that could happen is I don't feel like I can breathe. That's like my freaky, like that will send my butt to the ER.
oh,
So you didn't have that part like where I can't breathe, but it was just like this is still really uncomfortable.
no, it was a panic attack. No doubt about it. It's the first time I ever had a panic attack because I couldn't breathe. I mean, there's no way.
Yeah. Well,
I'm glad you got through everything okay and you were
yeah,
able to
thank
make
you.
it tonight.
Hey, I'm here.
And you're still running for, is it city council or something?
Well, yeah, what can happen? I can die, so somebody else gets to do it. And the election's not until November. So, I got to survive for 5 more months.
Yes.
And besides that, I don't think I got a chance of winning. So,
Not well.
Now with that attitude, you own this, Frank.
That's what Dan always tells me. If I go into something with like a poopy attitude, he'll like call me on it, and he'll be like, "Yeah, not with that attitude." So.
I don't have that attitude. Realistically, I haven't lived here for 50 years. I mean, I grew up here. I know everybody that's 50 years old or older, but all the younger ones don't know who I am. And that's the reason I think I probably don't have a chance. But the reasons that I don't have a chance are probably the same reasons that I probably should be elected, because I've been out in the world and I've seen everything else, not this little town. So, we'll see what happens. I'm not worried about it one way or the other. Besides that, I'm trying. I raised my hand.
Where in Kansas are you?
A little community called Plainville, and it fits. It's about as flat as a pancake. 1,500 people, and we are in the middle of the United States. Absolutely right in the middle.
The only reason I ask is because my dad's side of the family, they're all in Topeka and Manhattan.
Yeah, that's out east. That's in civilization. That's out in civilization.
So you're probably closer to Colorado than.
Actually, halfway between Kansas City and Colorado and Denver. Right between the two of them, and in the geographic center of the United States, of the 48.
Yeah, I need to.
So okay, then you opened the door, Frank, and I don't think I've ever asked this. Maybe you sent something on Facebook. How far away are you from where Springsteen shot his Super Bowl commercial? In the middle.
Well, just a minute. 25 miles.
Oh, Dan Digman's having a small panic attack. Like, oh my gosh.
Is that in Victoria, right? You're in Victoria.
Whatever that church is that people come to see.
The Cathedral of the Plains. And yeah, it's 25 miles.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm not worthy to be on the same same video with you, Frank.
I think Dan has a road trip to your neck of the woods in the future, Frank. You better get that spare bed made up.
You would have to see the inside of that church. That is the most beautiful church.
Really?
In the middle of nowhere. It is a cathedral that could serve a city of 10,000, and the community's got 1,000 people in it.
Wow, that's pretty.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we had the Springsteen talk, but did anyone else have anything they wanted to talk about tonight that said, I can't wait for the group to meet because I need to ask questions about this?
So I just have one question. Does anybody, like, when you get anxious or nervous about something, I call them the BGs, which is bubbly guts. Like, I start feeling like my intestines are gonna pop out, and it's like, do I have to go to the bathroom? No, but I feel like that starts happening.
I haven't. I don't really get anxious anymore, but I've never experienced that. No.
I just your intestines. Do you have to go to the bathroom or both or?
It feels like I have to, and then it's like I get grumblies. I call them the bubbly guts, but I don't know. And that's only like when I get nervous about something or anxious about something. It's just weird.
Is this like a new thing, or I mean, has this been kind of
No,
the whole?
it's been like that for years.
Do you
So
get to a point where you actually vomit or start dry heaving?
I have, yeah, but it's like, it's so hard to describe, but it feels like I call them BGs.
Yeah.
Like, and then I always tell my husband, I got the BGs. He's like, do we have to stop at a bathroom? Well, I don't know. Cause it's sometimes it's like surprise.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not. So I don't know. That's just, I've noticed when I get anxious or nervous about something.
I think we all have different ways when we're experiencing anxiety. We have different ways how it manifests in our
Possibly.
body or in our brain. And I don't know if there's anything that you can do where you can reduce that anxiety level so that it goes away, whether you rationalize, like, is this really a big deal? Is this really going to matter in 5 years or 10 years? Is this just is this more of an embarrassment or something like that? Or what's the end of the world? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? And then just kind of oh yeah, I'm just kind of freaking out over nothing. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess
huh.
I kind of, I've had stuff like that, but I don't think it was necessarily MS related because I used to get that like in, high school before speech contests or, when I'm, I just get anxious and I kind of have that sense and feeling and stuff. But I did, when I used to run, it was like before the race, yeah, like you just get all anxious or excited or anxious, excited, nervous all at the same time. But I don't.
Right. So yeah, I just didn't know if that was common or if there's something that I need to schedule another doctor's appointment for. So
Yeah.
How frequently is it happening to you, and how bothersome is it to you? Does it like make your anxiety increase even more because you're experiencing the symptoms? Is there another behavior that you can focus on to help? Because that could potentially be a maladaptive behavior or a reaction to your anxiety. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, it happens quite frequently. I'm always anxious. I don't know why, but I'm always anxious, like especially like when it's important stuff. But other than that, it's like just normal. Not just normal, just like just when I'm feeling anxious about stuff. Like I said, I'm anxious quite often
Yeah.
because I always am. So, but I'll talk to
Do
my
you want
doctor.
to change that where you don't feel the anxiousness as much?
Right.
Are you wanting to reduce that anxiety in, using different forms of whether meditation, journaling, talking, like just trying to use
Some,
different techniques so you can get. I used to have, like, when I was younger, I would have that anxiety where I couldn't start something because I was just so hung up on everything that I just couldn't like even get the wheels turning on a project. And it took me a while to like, I've learned to break things down in steps so small that it's not a big deal and it doesn't cause that huge spike in anxiety. That's just one small example.
I just
well,
think
I'll have to try something.
yeah. Wow.
Other than that, that's the only thing I was gonna ask.
I think I mean, our next meeting isn't until July 13th, but I think we have so much individually. Like, I'm really excited to see everyone in a few weeks, because there's going to be, I feel like we'll have, like Mr. Rogers, we'll have things you'll want to talk about. I will too, so, but yeah, I mean, and again, I don't know if everyone knows Mr. Rogers, but I was a big Mr. Rogers kid, so.
That's our assignment for next time too, is watch Tom Hanks in the Mr. Rogers movie, yes?
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
For real, next time. Yes.
So our next meeting will be July 13th, or
Wow.
our next, yeah.
3 weeks since we have 5 Tuesdays this month. So we'll see you all in 3 weeks versus 2 weeks.
So good luck at everyone who's has to see a doctor or needs to see a doctor or check in with the doctor. So yeah.
And Kim, we potentially will see you in about 10 days, if all goes correctly, and we'll see you in Iowa. And anybody that's in Kansas or Colorado, it's where we're going to meet you about halfway. So come on up.
I think that they should at least make the effort, I mean, come on, 12 hours from Colorado. I mean, is that really too much to ask? And what is it, 7 or 9 hours, 700 to 900 miles for tree? I mean, seriously, that she's not even doing like 1,200. I don't know why she can't do it, even though she can't drive. She doesn't drive. I don't see why she can't make it.
Yeah.
Oh, heck, I'm going to come out to Iowa because I need to get another Come and Go t-shirt.
Yes.
Wow. Nice.
We're Come and Go, baby. Yeah, it's so funny because people like hear that name, like, is that really a name of a gas station? Like, yeah, it's a big name in Iowa, and people are like, can you send me, like, oh yeah, they have merch. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's a sad thing, is the Come and Go closed in my hometown and stuff. But we always know we're getting close to Iowa when we start seeing signs on the highway for a Casey's.
Casey's, yes. Casey's is another amazing gas station. Breakfast pizza, guys. Don't knock it until you try it.
Totally. Well, Rick, do you have something? Because we haven't seen you all night. You were in and out and didn't see it before. Is there anything for the good of the order?
Yes, a couple of things for the food talk. First of all, it makes me so happy to hear that you are going to get together with Kim. That is fantastic.
We're keeping fingers crossed. Well, we have the logistics
I love that so much, that when people get together from the groups and meet people in the flesh, and that's really something. The only one thing I was going to say to you is, if you have any friends who have a rare disease, we are holding a webinar on the 29th of June for how to advocate for a rare disease. Well, it's really for anybody. So, you could watch, anybody can stop by, but it's being put on by the Every Life Foundation with us, together with us. And we're going to talk to people about how you go about advocating for your disease at the local, at the state, and at the federal level. And we've got 3 rare disease or 4 rare disease people in the panel, and Every Life is going to do a how-to, like a 20-minute how-to of the basics of advocating. So we have some great, we just put them out today. We've got some flyers, and if anybody's interested, I'd be happy to send you. And if you have any people that you'd like to send them on to, please do.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it.
Oh yeah, I'll send them to you, Frank.
Okay.
I'll for sure. I'd love it. And of course, anybody's welcome, but it's just it's going to be oriented more towards rare disease, but anybody's welcome.
Rick, back in the day, the long dark ages of when I was first diagnosed, I got assistance with my Copaxone because from the National Organization of Rare Diseases. Way back in the dark ages, multiple sclerosis was considered a rare disease.
Oh,
Now
really?
there's 1 million of us that have it in the
Right.
United States, nearly.
I think the cutoff is 250,000 now. Sarcoidosis is included, so we'll have a sarcoidosis speaker. But I think they say it's either 200 or 250,000. If you're above that, it's not considered a rare disease.
Yeah, but isn't that interesting?
Rick, could you send it to me? My new pancreas disease is rare.
Oh, sure. Okay. Tree and Frank, and and please, if you know anybody else that you think might have an interest in listening, it's free and it's drop-in.
Add us to your list, Rick. Send us something because we'll put it out on the blog, or email it to we know some people.
Okay, that'd be great. That'd be great. And we've got a couple of other good things coming up later in the year. We've got one on managing your health team, and we'd really like to try and get Dr. Boster on that. We've got a couple of cancer docs on there, but we'd love to get Dr. Boster on the panel there.
Do you have information on that one?
Just working on it now, but I'll send it to you. What we've got.
Okay.
I can tell you that the moderator is going to be BJ Miller, if you know who he is. Dr. BJ Miller. He's a palliative care doc, and he's a triple amputee, and he's just amazing guy.
Didn't he have that really good TED Talk? Was he a TED Talk guy? Okay,
yes.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
13 million views on his TED Talk. Yeah. And he's a good friend of ours, and he's just started an organization, so we're working with them on that. And we're probably going to do one at the very end of the year on something you were talking about today, which is health stress and health anxiety and stress, which again will be it won't be focused at a particular type of disease, just these general issues that about stress and anxiety coming up because you got tests or whatever it is. So and to the extent that we can include specific people that where it's attractive to the disease, like Dr. Boster on this managing your health team. I think we'd love to do that. So
yeah, once you have the information and stuff, we'll reach out to them and see. It sounds like
it's August 31st is going to be the date for that webinar, and then we may just have a webinar specifically about MS, depending on what my friend Jen tells us when she tells us.
Well, I'm still reaching out. Urology is a hard one to find. Yeah. I mean, but keep your fingers crossed.
Okay. So, listen, once we've got the webinar, if we've got the speaker, we can put it together really quickly. And I did ask the AUA, and they said they really didn't have anybody specific for urology, for MS, which I think is strange because they recognize MS as a need, and you would have thought they would have had a urologist, a go-to urologist, but they don't.
Yeah. Well, don't give up yet.
I won't give up yet.
All right.
I won't give up yet. And Frank, I think we need campaign hats. We all need to come into Plainville, and we need to move. Oh, there we go. We got it. You need to pump the flesh, man. We got to get you out to all those 25 to 40-year-olds pumping the flesh.
Make it TikTok video.
No, I got my people. I got my people out.
Okay.
Frank, you need to get on TikTok to get those youngsters or whatever platform they're currently on.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I can do TikTok. I don't know.
They're I have not been on it, but the videos are very, very short.
We'll see.
I think they're like 30 seconds.
Your son is a documentary guy. He can do. You
Yes.
got this. You
Oh
rub
my
people. You
gosh.
rub Brad into this. You got it. You got it.
Oh my gosh, you're so right, Kim.
I know.
That's
He has this
amazing.
amazing resource. His son is like Emmy award-winning doc. You got it. I don't want to hear it, Frank. I don't want to hear it. No excuses.
I try to stay out of my son's entertainment life. Yeah, right.
Well, this is public service, dude. This is pro bono work for him. So no, this is good.
And he would probably be so proud if you asked him.
Oh, I've already asked him. It's just a matter of us getting the time to get together and do it.
Okay. Okay. And then can we see, do we get to see the video and we can put it on our blog?
And
Sure.
yes,
Sure, you can have, got a card for you too.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. You know what? Yeah, I need one of those. I'll if you send me one, I'll take it over. I'll take it over to Mike, to your biggest fan, Mike Pettipool, and he'll stick it on the back of his car.
You got it.
Nice.
So,
Well,
I'll end the recording
okay.
in 3.
And I'll say goodnight to all of you, and I'll see